Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Paranormal Portal. I'm your host, Brent Thomas. It is Saturday evening. This is live on the 8th. Wow, it's the 8th already. You're not unmuted yet. You can't talk yet. I haven't introduced you yet, Don. Sit there quietly. I'm not ready for you yet. So welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. We are not Beyond the Veil. We are the Paranormal Portal, and this is the new lineup for our Saturday nights. We are going to be following Frank and Fearless into the night, and then Beyond the Veil will be following us. So, thanks, Lucky. Great to see you. So stay tuned, of course, after the show for Beyond the Veil with Chris and Cherie. Always great shows. Even the rebroadcasts are always amazing. There's such depth and such information and so many nuggets. I've listened to their shows many times and the same episodes and always get something new every time. So it's definitely worth a re-listen, even if they're not live. So, but here we are. This is the Paranormal Portal. And before I go any further, please let me welcome my good friend and co-host, Mr. Don Longbeard, to the show. How you doing tonight, Don?
I almost missed my cue.
Well, no, you were creating your own cues before this. Don was just letting himself in.
Hey, you open the door.
I know. I gave you a chair, and look what happens.
Exactly. I wore a hole in it.
That's all right. It's definitely form-fitting now for you, so that's good.
Brent, it's like he says in TFR, she says Brent's censoring his co-host. First Amendment, LOL.
This is not this is not, I just wrecked my own joke. This is a dictatorship. That's all I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to spit out here.
You got the first part of that word right.
I know. Yeah. Humor is all timing, and apparently I have none. I have timing of a drunk or something.
Oh, goodness.
Speaking of drunk, Don and I are having a little celebration here as our numbers are going up here on the portal, and we're meeting and becoming household names for like a lot more houses lately. So
and they're all haunted.
And they're all haunted, which is great. But we're having a beer here. Cheers, Don.
Cheers, sir. Clink.
Clink. That was
nice.
the clink.
Oh, goodness, yeah.
It's beer night on the portal, so
yes.
We don't normally do this.
But it's a special
Clearly,
occasion.
I don't normally do this very much at all, as I'm spilling my beer all over.
He just opened it, too.
I know.
He's already drunk talking. He took a
Cut
sip.
me off. I'll tell you one damn thing. I'll just go right into drunk talking.
Nice.
I've got like the constitution of a whatever, something that doesn't have any constitution. There we are with the timing again, ladies and gentlemen. But this is the Paranormal Portal. It's our forum for all things paranormal. So if you're not familiar with the show, this is it. And it's about as good as it gets. No, I'm just kidding. It's going to be a great show tonight. We have a guest going to be joining us here shortly, and that is Mr. Nese. Kevin Shores out of Minnesota, and also a co-host here on TFR is going to be joining us tonight. And we're going to get into some great discussions about demons, darkness, and the thinning of veils. So it's just that time of year, ladies and gentlemen. So, yeah, Saber says beer o'clock.
It's beer.
Amen.
For me.
And if you're hearing the sound of my voice, and would like to see what the hell's going on in the Paranormal Portal studios, please head over to youtube.com/Paranormal Portal, and you can watch the simulcast of this live as we go. And you'll learn real quickly, if you're not familiar with the portal, that this is live and unscripted. We have no idea usually what we're doing from one moment to the other, but we always have fun with it. And
we do occasionally get serious.
Oh, no, we really do. But the thing about the paranormal, ladies and gentlemen, is that there's a lot of people out there doing paranormal. There's a lot of people out there doing paranormal. But the problem is that so many people are doing paranormal, and I'll tell you what, it's creepy and dark. And it doesn't have to be that heavy. I mean, the paranormal is amazing. It's absolutely earth-shattering. It's phenomenal in and of itself. And I believe that it's absolutely the breadcrumbs of demonstrating a very dynamic and robust reality that we don't even understand and cannot understand. So it's not like the quirk or the hiccup of reality. It's the breadcrumbs showing us what is possible
and trying to bring us to them.
Right, exactly. I think in a lot of cases that's the case. Now, I don't mean to pretend that every paranormal experience is a good one. Of course, they're not. But that's my point, is that it doesn't have to be dark. It doesn't have to be brooding and horrible. It can be discussed with a little levity, with a little light. We do take it seriously, believe me. We have a lot of fun on the show. We love doing the show. but we don't get into our own drama. We don't get into the dramatic
Right.
prose of the paranormal. It's already scary enough for enough people that, we like to bring a new life to it, have a good time talking about it, and see what we can discover. And by no means will you ever leave the show thinking that we're experts, because we're not.
and if you are, you're watching the wrong show. Well, you're watching the right show, just at the wrong times, I guess, because we get serious after the show.
No. Yeah. Well, no, I mean, I'm just saying that there are no experts in the paranormal, and there's many
assume.
people patting themselves on the back, talking about how much they know and how well they know it. But the one thing about the paranormal is it doesn't lend itself to study. It doesn't lend itself to true, rigorous study. It just happens when it happens. And all that anybody can do is just look at what happened, try to figure out all of the things going on, and try to piece it all back together and learn from it what we can. So that's what we try to do here on the Portal. And so, if you like to have a lot of fun, you're going to love this show. If you would rather, be horrified and scared, you might be in the wrong place. But sometimes it is scary. Sometimes it is dark. But we try to have a good time with it. So that is the Paranormal Portal. And the only reason I'm going through this now, we've already been doing this show for well over a year, well over 2 years, right? It's been gone for more than 2 years, right, Don?
No. It's
a year and three quarters.
It's year and we're getting close to. We're past a year and a half.
Okay, so we're getting towards 2 years. I don't know. It all blends together because you do what you love and you love what you do, and
you don't even notice the time.
And you don't even notice. But it's. I forgot where the hell I was going with that. I had one sip of beer. Honest to God, I'm not drunk. It's just like, I don't know. It's this new slot. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Portal, and we hope that you enjoy it. The show is live, as I said, and if you want to call in with some either event of your own to talk about, or if you have an opinion about what we're talking about, please feel free.
Yeah.
The call-in number is 213-233-3998. Again, 213-233-3998. And if you're calling from the UK, like last night, we had a cool call from over in the UK.
Oh, and I missed it.
Oh, you did, yeah. See, Don, that's what happens when you're not here.
Yeah.
But it's the access number for the UK is 44203-393-2871. Again, 44203-393-2871. And if you want to support what we're doing here on the Portal or here on the network, all of the amazing hosts and amazing shows here on the network, then please stop by tfrlive.com and become a member. You gain access, commercial-free access and downloads of any of the shows that you're hearing on our complete roster. So it's not just this show, it's every other show.
Everything.
And there are some absolutely amazing shows on this network, and there is no bad shows on this network. They're all amazing, but there are some that are just like, shake your world amazing. So and I hope that you guys enjoy the Paranormal Portal and consider us a natural part of this lineup. So let's get to our guest. What do you say, Don?
Well, I'm kind of liking the beer.
Well,
absolutely, we got a great guest. Love this guy.
Again, this is Nese. Kevin Shore's out of Minnesota. He's a member of the First Nations Anishinabe tribe and has been a longtime friend and supporter of the Portal. In fact, he was one of my first callers, I think, ever on the show. Welcome, brother, and we're thrilled you're here with us.
Hi, long-time listener, first-time caller.
I don't think so.
If I may chink something for you guys.
What's that? Oh, you got a beer.
Oh, you got one.
I can't tell you what I was.
Cheers, brother.
I can't tell you what I was chinking there, but I was chinking for you.
All right, very good.
But a new time slot.
Yeah.
New time slot. Manifesting.
Yep. Absolutely, brother.
Manipulating the fields, brother. That's beautiful.
It is. It's been really amazing, and of course I'm honored to be in this position and to have this opportunity to do the show at this time. I mean, it was wonderful where we were too, and I don't think there's a bad time slot on TFR. I mean, there's people listening around the clock on TFR because our audience is worldwide. So there really isn't a bad time to do the show, but I just think that it's a lot of fun to be married to these new neighbors that we have on the lineup, and it's really exciting. So, but thank you, brother. I appreciate that.
And also, you should be careful when you say stuff about being in a good position around Mr. Longbeard.
Whoa, now.
Hey, it's a family show.
What happens in the studio stays in the studio.
And let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen,
But
nothing
that's just
happens
my
in the
own
studio.
jealousy of Don.
Yeah, I know. You've known him longer. I know.
Absolutely.
Me and Don don't get any alone time.
No, it's true. But if you want to arrange some, I'm willing to work with you guys. So I don't know what the hell to say anymore. So
Welcome to the show.
Hey, Nese, we do have another.
It'd be a reason to go to Idaho and not for potatoes.
Yeah, it'd be for barbecuing and drinking beer.
And there's plenty of that out here too. We do actually have another caller on the air. Nese, do you mind if I answer this call as well?
Oh, no.
All right, let's see who else is. I don't know if I can do two calls at once. Oh yeah, I can. Yes, I can. It's area code 715. You're on the air.
Yeah, I'm listening right now. I really haven't gotten into the group of what you guys are talking about tonight. Let me just hold on and bring me back on maybe in a half hour or so.
All right. Okay. I'm not sure I understood that.
That's okay. We'll move on.
I think he was telling us that the silliness is done and let's get on with the topic, maybe.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, ladies and gentlemen, tonight we're going to discuss demons, darkness, and the thinning of veils. And, of course, Nese, you've called into the show many, many times. And you've brought a very unique and knowledgeable light to the show. And your insights have been absolutely spot on. And what do you think about what's going on, especially with the thinning of the veils right now? What is your take on all of that?
Well, if I may placate to my own ego and just kind of share a little bit about myself, I'm a survivor of 52 winters in this physical form.
Mm-hmm.
I have made the proclamation that I stopped counting after 6.3 million because it just takes too long to count. But as this entity experiences all of this ultimate expertise that I have on the only thing that we can have expertise on is ourselves. And in the 52 years as being raised as a Lutheran in Christianity, being of English or British descent and Anishinabe descent, and about 5 to 10% of mix everything else, as a, and it sounds weird coming over my lips, as a practicing Anishinaabe, I try to follow the teachings of my ancestors.
Mm-hmm.
And in that search of the truth, I have looked into all sorts of religions because at one point the hypocrisy, and this is in every religion, I believe, the hypocrisy drove me away from Christianity. Because I care what you practice as far as your ceremony, your ritual, your spirituality. And I'm okay if you're like, petting a goat on the full moon of the third week and it lays an egg that hatches a frog you have to lick at dawn. If that makes you be a good person or a positive person or an individual of light, then so be it, but please don't harm anyone else. And for the most part, I wish that people would bring harm upon themselves. So that being said, as a Native American, Anishinabe, critically looking at our surroundings, I have noticed that semantics, of course, demons, and entities of such nature are rampant.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we get caught up in different semantics of what we're going to label them. Of course, my earliest from the Christian upbringing, we were told about Satan or the devil or Lucifer.
Sure.
And his minions.
Mm-hmm.
And his minions were going to be battling for our souls.
Right.
And then as as you start looking into all of these other ancient religions, they all have their, in a sense, top bad dude or their top big boss, or, you know, semantics again.
Mm-hmm.
And that entity is helping manipulate us silly humans in order to walk or work or do stuff in the darkness.
Yeah. I think I understand what you're saying. I'm trying to track what it is. How does that relate to the thinning of the veils?
Well, when let me give a metaphor. When you see or when you want to purchase a red car, you know, and all of a sudden you're going to start noticing all of these other red cars.
Okay.
This is what I believe when we are remembering our powers of observation as we were infants and stuff, where we were able to see more then than what we do now. Mm-hmm. Because I believe we've been conditioned not to pay attention to semantics, again, spirits or demons or entities, angels for that matter too, or ghosts. And because of that conditioning, we don't notice them anymore, yet they're abundantly around us.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
however,
gotcha.
Sure.
When Mother Earth goes through her cycles, and as right now we are going into the cycle in the Northern Hemisphere into longer nights,
mm-hmm.
and right now this weekend we have the new moon, which is a time of darkness, and along with that shift on all levels of our entity, because as Native Americans, we consider the 4 parts of us: the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual.
Mm.
And kind of like that statement of as above, so below, on each of those identities of us, or that separation of our entity in those categories, you know, they all are affected in these moments or cycles, like Mother Earth right now, where we've talked about it now with the moon cycle being slightly askewed.
Right, yeah.
And with this going into the new moon, and just with the changes on the grander scale,
mm-hmm.
this is where these veils are thinning, because as the electromagnetic shift occurs, you know, because if you look at the whole thing of going into a period of when the sun is going to be less shining on us, and
mm-hmm.
so we're going to be missing out on all of that extra electromagnetic waves in which the sun shines down on us, and the days get shorter. And so in those longer times of darkness on the physical, some people have what they call seasonal disorder,
right, mm-hmm.
or seasonal depression.
Yep.
You know, where all of a sudden they start getting into that kind of winter funk.
Sure.
And so this is the whole aspect of stepping back from a different perspective and noticing the entirety of it. And when we can recognize the entirety of it, then maybe it just might be enough to someone to realize that, do I have demons attached to me? Do I have entities attached to me?
Right.
Am I being manipulated by negativity or fear?
And that's an interesting point, because I think a lot of these, if there truly are demonic encounters, and I believe there are, I think that this is a very real phenomenon that goes on quite, I wouldn't say quite as often as people would like to use the terminology, oh, it's a demon, it's a demon, it's a demon. But I believe they're out there. I believe there's these dark things out there, and I think they are incredibly seductive and incredibly subtle, because they are predators. They are, predators in the truest sense of the word, and most often people don't realize when they're in that compulsion or that oppression until it gets so bad that it's very hard to reverse. So that's an interesting point. So you think that these cycles help us to bring those things to light? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I think any time that we utilize our greatest gift of perception or recognizing the patterns, that the cycles, when we recognize them and we can tune into them, or we could synchronize with them, it always helps on all levels. I mean, and logically, it seems, why not utilize, like right now, we're going into the new moon, and we know within 72 hours, a sliver of the moon is going to start showing again. And so some of the indigenous people, they would say, okay, this is the time of high meditation or ceremony or ritual, where they would use that 72 hours of the full moon or the new moon within the cycle.
Right.
And then you get into the allegations of people that are worshiping negativity or evil or satanic worship and stuff. There is the double spectrum of when they utilize the darkest time of the month for their rituals or for their plotting other rituals. And then they would go back to the full moon and do their rituals because it would be an abomination to the heavenly light as it's reflected off the moon. And so these people that worship, negativity or fear or, semantics again, the devil or Satan,
right.
But then it gets into that question, because of course we have our psychiatrist, and they started getting into the whole science of it and looking at the physical challenges of what is occurring within the brain, within the physical body, because now they're making the statements, and there's a lot of evidence to back it up, that the overabundance of metals in our brain can affect our neurotransmitters and receivers within our synapses, our gaps.
Yeah.
That if we get heavy metals building up in our gaps, then it more or less grounds out, like in a home in your wiring. It grounds it out. So if there's areas in your brain that are grounding out, then you just might not be able to come back after the break.
Which is coming up in about 2 minutes now. Yeah, we're getting really close, but you're close.
Shot that short.
It's okay. You did great. Actually, you did better than I usually do. You did better than I usually do, brother. But those are great insights, and I think those are important insights.
Absolutely.
Because we're not. So many people are taught to look away from the spiritual and to look at the physical and to not pay attention to what's behind the curtain anymore. It's like, never mind the man behind the curtain. Right. It's look over here. This is the real picture.
Right.
And it's an unfortunate thing. And I've said it many times on the show. It's like, I just feel such a swell of sadness to think how many people are in asylums due to some kind of a spiritual oppression. Something that could have been fixed if somebody would listen. But instead they got medicated away and thrown into a padded room. And that's got to be absolutely terrifying. So, but a real thing.
Well, in Israel, there is a mental facility where there are supposedly over 1,500 reincarnations of Jesus.
Oh my
Wow.
gosh! Wow,
Wow.
that's a lot of Jesuses.
Jesus.
Yeah, no kidding.
So who's to know that Jesus hasn't come back, but for the
Right.
last 12 years he's
Right.
been
yeah.
in a padded jacket outdoorsy.
Oh, my
Without a
God,
doubt.
could you imagine? What a scary thought that is. But all right, so ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be heading to our break here in just a few seconds. But again, the call-in line is open. We'll probably open it on the second half of the show to calls. And I apologize, but it's just I want to give us a chance to have a discussion, and then we can certainly entertain questions in the last hour or so, in the last hour of the show. It's a 2-hour show, but don't go away, everybody. We'll be back in just a couple minutes for more of the Paranormal Portal with Nese joining us. Don't go away.
Radio.
All right, guys, we're back. Welcome back to the Paranormal Portal. I'm your host, Brent Thomas, and I'm joined by Mr. Don Longbeard.
That would be me.
And we are joined tonight by our good friend on the phone, Mr. Kevin Shores. Mr. Nese is here, joining us tonight here on the Paranormal Portal. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing well. Thank you.
I did try to connect with you on Skype, but I don't know. It just doesn't seem to be working. So we're fine this way as long as you're okay doing it this way.
Yeah, it's probably the new update.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Believe me, I got updates too, and it screwed up everything. And it was just before showtime. Not tonight, but like a couple of weeks ago. And I was like, oh, my God. So, yeah, unfortunately, the Skype is kind of fickle that way. So, but, yeah, I'm fine with keeping you connected this way if you're okay with it.
Yeah, it works for me. How do I sound? Testing.
You
One,
sound
two,
absolutely brilliant.
I
can mute you as well, so it's
I'm not the only one.
Yeah, you and Don are in the mute boat, so all right. But we are joined tonight by Nese, who is with us to talk about demons, darkness, and the thinning of the veil, ladies and gentlemen. So I don't know, it's a brilliant first half hour there. There was a lot of insight and idea in that first whole segment, and you know, it just blows me away the way you come from with this stuff. It's you seem to be very unique in the way that you see things, and I know a lot of this is what you've been taught, but I think a lot of it is also your experience, and that you're very thoughtful, and you think through these kind of things to a depth that a lot of people don't, and I'm really glad that you're here to share those things with us.
Oh, you say the nicest things.
Well, you know, it's a way to keep you coming back. That's why. But we do appreciate it, brother. And you know, getting into all of this with cycles and seasons and all of that, what do you see going on right now? What is it that you're noticing that's different this time around? Because I'm noticing all kinds of things that are brand new to me, and I think that this is an extraordinary time of transition and change and frequency shifts and all kinds of amazing things going on personally is what I'm seeing. But do you agree with that, or what are you seeing going on?
Well, absolutely. And the one constant, and for the most part, a definitive statement is false, because you cannot measure the infinite.
Right.
But I would make the proclamation that every moment is change. Mm-hmm. Because in the microcosm, as we breathe in and out, we're breathing in different molecules, not just oxygen, but whatever, maybe the chemtrails or the nanobots or whatever we're breathing in. And it's changing us on the physical aspect. But then when you go into the microcosm, where every particulate and the quantification or the rehashing of atomism, when you break it down, it has an electric field to it, a measurable electromagnetic field to it. Mm-hmm. So if you look at all of these elements that we put into our body, it therefore is going to change that electromagnetic field within us.
Right.
On the microcosm.
Very true.
And then if you think of, you think of the heavy metals that they have in prescription drugs, and they say it's above a contamination rate, that it's okay for you to take it. But if your body cannot digest it and it keeps it housed in your body after you're on 5-6 years of the same pill, how much of that heavy metal is in your body, therefore causing that electromagnetic change?
Right.
And then we look at the macrocosm. Look what we have done to Mother Earth, where we've ripped out all of these heavy metals, and from all over the world, where we have these huge pits that we dug out these heavy metals, which have changed the electromagnetic fields of Mother Earth.
Oh, sure.
And so then, you add that, Mother Earth has taken billions of years to come up with her electromagnetic field, and within the last 500 years with the industrialization, we've totally shifted that electromagnetic field of Mother Earth because of that greed of the want of the heavy metals, because we put an intrinsic value on it. Sure. And then as we look at it deeper, they're utilizing these heavy metals for computers. Right. And I have to claim I am a hypocrite because my computer helps me utilize and maintain my daily activities because I'm blind and physically, my dexterity is not well. But then as they're creating these computers, the computers are mimicking our brain. Right. So we see the microcosm and the macrocosm on all of these levels. Mm-hmm. So if we can see that physically, and if we realize the difference of our entities of physical, mental, we have these heavy metals affecting our brains, and the American diet affecting our brains. Mm-hmm. And then the emotional, if any of those 4 parts of our body are mixed up, and throw on top of that with TV and with media and the state of the union or the state of distress, the union of the American state of distress is, sure. And Donald Trump and this, that, and the other thing, and Hillary Clinton, and most of the television shows are all about post-apocalyptic or, violence.
Yeah,
there's your emotional disturbance.
It does seem to be a trend that keeps repeating, is this whole apocalyptic life struggle after things break down.
Right. It's like they're setting us up for what's coming.
Like a foreshadowing. Yeah. Exactly. Using their own terms, it's a foreshadowing of events. So are we being programmed towards some end game like that they fully expect? Now, and I've heard, I plugged into all these different grapevines, and I hear things about, how they're prepping for this and doing for this, and it's like, it's, you can't live in a state of terror though either. I mean, it's one of those things that you kind of have to unplug, or at least make a real conscious choice about what you're willing to do and how much you're willing to expose yourself in any given day, because they will definitely control any narrative you have. Your health narrative, your personal narrative, your thought narrative, your willingness to participate in a world narrative. I mean, they're working at controlling our so many facets of our life, and this could be paranormal as well. It could be, is this some super consciousness of a darkness that's doing these things? I don't know. It's possible, but it's certainly, we certainly do get hammered in every direction. You're absolutely right.
Well, I'm sorry, Don, were you going to say something?
Oh, no, go ahead.
Well, so then we understand this whole state of emotional chaos, and we can witness it, where in my experience, a lot of my female friends, and equays, as we call them in Anishinabe, that they talk about being so out of sync. Mm-hmm. And if we look at the moon cycle being out of sync, and then we look at the fact that women are a higher percentage of water than men, and we know that the moon affects the tides of the oceans and all of that, and then you throw on top of it, what is the greatest insulator of electricity but rubber? And so we're all walking around in these thick rubber shoes, mm-hmm. and on top of concrete, mm-hmm. and so we're not connecting to Mother Earth. We're not mm-hmm. feeling that connection. The largest pores in our body are in the bottom of our feet.
Wow. Okay, I didn't know that.
And so that's why some people have really stinky feet because their body's trying to purge.
Oh.
So.
Right.
Just to throw that out there, and I apologize to anybody who has stinky feet, but yeah, especially if you have shoes that aren't allowed to breathe.
Right.
And most of the shoes are made out of plastic now, so they don't breathe well.
Mm-hmm.
But so emotionally, and then we get into the spiritual aspect. Every religion that I have researched and looked into, and at the age of 23, when I started getting sick with the Gulf War illness that I have, and it's unfortunately a time of crisis when our health goes down the tube, that we're like, oh, maybe there is a God and maybe I should check in on it.
Right.
And so at that point of turning away from Christianity, I started looking into all the different religions, because it's like, which one can be right? There are so many of them.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm like, well, let's take a look at my own Native American or the Anishinabe religion.
Right.
And from the first time I went into a sweat lodge, I knew that's where my path was to be.
Right.
And this is, and the thing that I so enjoyed about the Native American aspect is the simple lesson of respect. That we're each an individual and we each have our own path. And as long as we are not hurting innocents, or hurting each other, then be on that path that you're supposed to be on.
Mm-hmm.
But since we are all here together, you would think we should have some kind of obligation that when we see something being destructive with themselves, because we all affect everybody else, as we were talking as a microcosm, macrocosm, then should we not say, hey, with all love and respect, what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
Can I help you? Is there something you need from me?
Yeah.
Because why do people become destructive? Is it possibly that physical aspect where maybe their wires are crossed, as we were talking about with the brain?
Mm-hmm.
Is it that mental aspect where someone goes through a bunch of mental torture? Because if you look at the construct of being raised in the United States, you could probably argue the mental disorders that we are being conditioned to have.
Right.
Especially if you kind of generalize it. And so then there we have the emotional stress of everything. And then now, as we were talking about earlier, where I started with all the different religions, they all talk about entities that are negative or destructive or harmful to our full form.
Right.
And these entities, given the opportunity, will enter your portal.
Mm-hmm.
Because we all have portals. Whether if you want to talk of the physical, of your nostrils, your mouth, your ears, and the other holes you may have. But we also have more metaphysical portals.
Sure.
Like if you research stuff about your chakras and your pineal gland, because we're incredible machines for semantics' sake. And the design is a miracle. There's this great video out there on YouTube. It's called As Above, So Below the Belt. And it's this gentleman that talks about if you take crosscuts of your brain, you will see how it's built the exact same way as the reproductive organs.
Oh, really? Huh.
And there's this incredible, even like when you break down the Fibonacci sequence of the golden mean spiral, from the tip of your finger to your first knuckle, from the tip of your finger to your second knuckle, then to your third, and to your fourth, and then to your wrist. That's all Fibonacci.
Wow.
The way that your face is proportioned. How the skull and bones, they have the flag, I keep the Jolly Roger,
yeah.
the Skull and Bones.
Uh-huh.
One of the secrets of that thing is there's Fibonacci all over that. The skull and bones, our face, our cranium, it's all mathematical ratios of Fibonacci. The two bones, which are the femur bones, the largest bones on the human body, and the way that they're crossed, if you would put a little scoop at the end of there, it's the infinity symbol.
Wow.
And then if you look at every single celestial planet or celestial body in our solar system, if you track it over a certain period or over a certain cycle, at one point or another, it is going to make an infinity symbol.
Oh.
Whether it be 50 years, 1,000 years, or whatever. Each of them have their own little pattern where they do an infinity symbol. And then, if you think of an infinity symbol two-dimensionally, if you think of it three-dimensionally, it's a torus. The donut, and that torus is the inside of a magnet.
Oh, sure.
And when you go down to the microcosm with our cells and our particulates, it's all the same, the inside of a magnet. And so in the microcosm and the macrocosm, in that which is seen and which that is not seen, because I believe it's less than 20% is what our optical, I'm losing the name of it, where our nerves, from our optic nerves, the whole bundle of it and stuff. When we witness something, only 20% of what we see, our brain is actually able to pattern or recognize or computate.
Oh.
And so have you ever noticed cats? When cats, I swear that cat's looking at something else.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Yep. And the Native Americans, they say, I've been told by elders that if you have cats, make sure you do a lot of smudging and do a lot of protection, because cats have the ability to catch spirits. And cats are like a pride, and they're prideful of what they're doing. So they're like, hey, mommy, daddy, look what I caught. And so they'll bring spirits into your home to show you, look what I caught. And they're like, why don't you guys see them?
Right. Well, that's interesting.
So
I have a cat, and every night, I have a cat, and about every night at about 11 p.m., maybe 11:30, he'll just start racing through the house. And I mean, he's all over the place, just this thump, this brum, 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 brum. And he's going after something, and I don't know what the hell it is. But, and then after a while, it's like he gets it, and then he'll just settle down and lay down. But I don't, I've always wondered, what the hell is he chasing?
The ghost of a mouse.
Right. But now get this, Don. Last night I was checking out, I got a security camera in my house, and I was sitting there, sitting on the couch last night, looking at my phone, and I saw all these orbs floating around. And now, it's hard to tell to differentiate between what is dust, what is some other particle, is it just really close to the lens or far away? And the resolution isn't that great on my phone, so I couldn't be sure. But I was thinking, what if he's chasing these things, these orbs, and that's interesting that you say that, Nese. That actually closes a really curious circle that was going on in my head. So very cool.
I strongly suggest, if you really want to start seeing orbs and stuff like that, go and find your old cameras where you actually had film.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I believe that the reason why they went from analog to digital with the old magnetic tapes and everything, that you can't fake it on a magnetic tape.
Right.
If you got the original, you can't alter it without destroying it. But when you got the computation of decompressing and compressing something at such a small pixel. If you got the stronger and tougher computer, you have the better ability to fake something.
Huh.
But
Yeah.
also, I do believe that it was partially because of the veil thinning that they knew of. That when I say they, I call them the powers that should not be. Because the elitists, they understand this. If you look at like the individual Manly P. Hall, he was an honorary Mason, and he started out the Theologian Society.
Okay.
And this was like Madame Blavatsky,
Oh, sure.
you know,
Yep.
and some of these other really, really incredible writings of people. And I do recommend reading Madame Blavatsky. She gets a bad rap, but, you know, even a broken clock is right twice.
Twice a day.
But Manly P. Hall, he has said it many, many times that the one thing that you can be assured of that they are not teaching us and they're actually suppressing it is the metaphysical knowledge.
Yes.
How many classes in school have you ever had when they talked about anything metaphysical?
No, well, I went to massage therapy school, so I learned some of it there, but other than that, none. Yeah.
Nice. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I'm a certified massage therapist from way back, but true story. But anyway, I didn't mean to negate your point. It was a very good point.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And the sad part about it is that when you look at what metaphysical teachings that they touch upon, it's more or less about demons and witchcraft in the evil aspect of it, or sorcerers, or magic, which I absolutely believe in.
Oh, sure. Yeah,
you know, because I have witnessed things going to ceremonies that my dominant society upbringing has not been able to wrap my mind around.
Right. Okay.
You know, so I, you know, and even just, well, me and you, Brent, we've talked on the phone a couple of things about some of the fun things that happen in my world.
Oh, yeah.
And it's quite interesting.
Yeah, it is. You've definitely experienced a whole bunch.
But the one thing that you were saying earlier is and to add to what I was saying about, the red car thing, if you are going to get caught up in the darkness, it is going to be harder to get out of the darkness, to get back into the light. And this goes on, I believe, all spectrums. If you have made the choice to be a negative person, an evil person, a person of fear, or satanic, or demon, or whatever you want to call it, if you make that choice, it is always easier to get darker than it is to get lighter. And it is a struggle.
Yep.
Even if you want to look at it critically, I am on tomorrow will be my 4th week of avoiding sugar.
Oh, wow. Good for you.
And I am like trying to come up with every excuse to go ahead and get a double mocha soy tomorrow. Because I've been so good for the whole month.
Sure.
Right.
But then there's the other aspect of me that's going, don't you dare, you loser, and it's screaming at me,
right.
But this is the thing, you have to find that balance.
Right.
And unfortunately, the sad truth of my experience is those individuals that are wanting to be warriors of the light, and we get into semantics again, warriors of God or Jesus, or of the light, of positiveness, of love, those people that want to fight for that aspect. It is so absolutely easy for us to fall.
Yes.
And I do believe that the powers of darkness, they're not out to recruit more evil, because they can get evil anywhere. It's so easy to find evil. You know, their big score is the light bearers, the love warriors, and I'm not a big fan of that. The love defenders, I guess.
Sure, yeah.
You know, or you know, the army of God, or the army of Jesus. Because you can bet your sweet arse that if Jesus came back tomorrow and he was able to show me that he was who he was, especially if he got me walking and got me seeing again.
Oh yeah.
You bet I'd be on his side.
Amen, brother. We're gonna take our hour break, ladies and gentlemen. So don't go away. We'll be back for the second hour of the show in just a couple minutes. We'll be right back.
Play their games. Everybody loves to place their bets. They don't understand the price I paid. They don't care to comprehend. Trace their lines upon my body, dripping scars across my heart. Raging anger pours inside me as their lies keep falling apart.
Caroline is not like those she's with. They're attracted to the one thing about her that's different from themselves. Her life force. It is very strong. It gives off its own illumination. It is a light that implies life and memory of love and home and earthly pleasures. Something they desperately desire, but can't have anymore. Right now, she's the closest thing to that.
Poltergeists are usually associated with an individual. Hauntings seem to be connected with an area. A house, usually.
Poltergeist disturbances are of fairly short duration, perhaps a couple of months. Hauntings can go on for years.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Brent Thomas, your host of the Paranormal Portal. Hope you had a good break, and we are back, of course, and joined tonight by our good friend and longtime friend of the show and fellow TFR co-host, Mr. Nese, is joining us tonight to talk about demons, darkness, and the thinning of veils. So welcome back, brother. Thanks for being here.
Well, thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
And hey, so where are all the different platforms that people can check you out, sir?
You always help me plug my show. I love it. You guys can check out the Paranormal Portal at youtube.com/Paranormal Portal, where we are currently simulcasting live the episode you're listening to if you're not on YouTube currently. And certainly go over there and do that. But we are also on Facebook at facebook.com/Paranormal Portal Radio. You can follow us on Twitter. I've been kind of getting a little more involved with Twitter, which is cool. But that's at Paranormal Portal, Portl. They didn't give me quite enough characters for Portal, so it's Portal. And we are on MeWe. Don and I both are. I don't know that there's not a Paranormal Portal page there, but there's a Brent Thomas and a Don Longbeard page and an Aether Archives group on MeWe as well. And we're working on a BitChute channel. Where else are we, Don? RedTube?
Well, not RedTube.
What is RedTube? Is that
that's not a one we want a family show on.
Okay, sorry. I don't know what the heck.
But
is that
I have dabbled in
DTube.
Like
That's it.
DTube.
DTube. Thank you.
And the other one.
I don't know.
I don't know. DTube.
So many tubes out there. I don't know what the hell's going on.
You really, on DTube and stuff like that, you really gotta post.
Oh, okay, right.
But if we could figure out how to live stream to it, then it would help. But
sure,
I think it'd be better to take on BitChute at this point.
Which is what we're doing, ladies and gentlemen. So if you want to find us over there, we're uploading episodes. It's all that a lot of our catalog archives that's on YouTube as well. Yep. But we're putting them over there to make our presence there, and we'll be looking into simulcasting streams to BitChute as well. So we're trying to be all over the place. But thank you, and if you want to help support the show directly, you can certainly do that by buying a T-shirt, Paranormal Portal T-shirt, sweatshirt, pullover hoodie, or hat, much like the one Mr. Longbeard is wearing, at paranormalportalradio.com, and that will certainly help support us in all of our endeavors to make the show bigger, better, and greater than it is currently. But thank you, Nese, for asking.
It is my pleasure.
And you've been doing some live streaming of your own on Facebook, which has been really cool. And if you got to let people know how to find your channel as well.
Well, on YouTube, you can find me at The Megaphone Man, all one word, and Cannabis Rez Solution, REZ Solution. And I do some public live feeds. I call them Babbling On in Babylon. And I just... The feeling comes over me, and I gotta share what goes on in the insanity, because I'm just staying in an insane world.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And you were playing. You were playing a dulcimer the other day, weren't you? That was awesome.
Yeah, that's my latest toy of as we talk about the madness and the darkness and that. You have to find what helps you get out of that.
Right.
And sometimes I need to shut my brain off. And I find that my meditative tool is a hammered dulcimer. And so I'll roll over to that, and, you know, all of a sudden I'll find myself there an hour later, just into the groove of it. And it's really ironic because the woman that sold it, she sold it because she was going blind.
Oh.
And
wow.
And a guy who's blind bought it.
So that instrument was fated to be owned by the visionally challenged. But it is a beautiful instrument. I was listening to you play it for quite a while, and it was really, I certainly can tell you're not a practice pro, but even with what you were doing, it was very, very beautiful, and has this real light and ethereal quality to it. It was really pretty.
Yeah, I'm still acclimating to the positioning of it.
Sure, right.
And it starts getting into that whole muscle memory.
Yep, absolutely.
And it's just going to take I haven't been playing it hardcore. It was put away for about 3 months, and I took it out about 3 weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks now, 2 or 3 weeks ago, and it really helps with the stress of things too.
Absolutely.
Because it just puts you in that zone, and you just listen to it. And it's I was a cosmetologist, and one thing Horst Reckelbacher told me, he said, it's all about the blending. and that was such a prominent lesson in my life, and I found that to be true in every aspect.
Right.
You know, if you just blend it, you know, you try to find the common ground, and if you don't sway one way or the other too far, you stay within harmony of that center point. And so, yeah, the hammered dulcimer, it's an incredible instrument, and yeah, I do every now and then hammer it out.
You do, and you did a nice job. It was really cool. So, but we are thrilled that you're joining us tonight here on the Portal, and we're, of course, ladies and gentlemen, doing a show about demons, darkness, and the thinning of the veils. And you know, the neat part of this whole discussion is it's not just. I love the way that you embrace these concepts, because it's not one dimensional. You come at it from so many different angles. I mean, we've talked about the physical, we've talked about the things like the chemical and the spiritual and the environmental, and all of these facets are stuff that gets so easily forgotten by so many other people. It's like when you have spiritual imbalance, it does matter what the situation with the body is. It does matter that you keep your body in balance, and if it's out of balance, you can hammer away at the spiritual all day long, but if you don't address the physical symptomatic things that are building towards the problem, you're never going to resolve it. It's never going to be completely resolved. So thank you for doing that, and I thought that was incredibly profound, because it's something that's so widely overlooked in the paranormal. You just look at, there's a evil ghost in your house. Well, let's bring in the sage and say some great things, and let's make it move. Well, what is going on with you? What is going on with you that you're not in balance? What is your diet like? What is your stress like? What is your work like? Are you dealing with a lot of heavy metals and causing your own energy to be scattered and fragmented and easily preyed upon? These kind of things are so overlooked. So very well done, brother. I really appreciate you bringing that element to the table.
Well, it's so incredible when we realize what miracles we are. And I also claim that we are ultimate perfection in the aspect that there is only one universe, that you are the ultimate uniqueness of that individual. There is no other you.
Yes.
So that's not only perfection, but that's a miracle.
Right.
Because only you will resonate at your frequency. No one else will. You will have the opportunity to share your frequency, and just like with a piano, sometimes we strike a chord or we blend perfectly. You know, and that's what happens on so many levels where well, let's talk about like when we dial into each other. When you're in a relationship with somebody over a long period of time, and you look at the physical aspect of your brain, where you have neurotransmitters and receivers, and you fine-tune them. And when you hang out with someone over a long period of time, you would naturally start tuning into each other. And I believe this is one of the explanations of where a partner will all of a sudden bring you something to drink when you're thirsty, or you'll get a phone call and immediately you'll know it's someone without looking at your call waiting or whatever, your smartphone. You know, but we get those little aspects. Or when you walk into a room and an individual will rub you the wrong way, or someone walks into the room and the whole room brightens. You know, where is that occurring? The macrocosm and the microcosm. They talk about the different light spectrums, or the field of light that we see. You know, most people think of the rainbow, which is ironic because the rainbow is just the incumbency of all light. But our eyes, again, we see this, and do we see a person's entity of whether or not they are fully themselves positive, or do they have attachments to them? And since it's all electromagnetic fields, like whether we see it or if we smell it, and our brain makes it into a electromagnetic occurrence, you know, do we sense that or see that evil or fear on each other? Is that feeling of disdain when we meet somebody? And then could it possibly be that we just sense that this individual is not only negative, but could possibly be possessed, or something's attached to him, as some spirits or entities will do?
Very true.
You know, so when do we tune in to our abilities to sense that, whether through sight or touch or sound or taste? You know, when do we strengthen that ability? You know, maybe when we put down the smartphones, or we stop the binge watching on Netflix, or we stop doing the heavy metals. And could that possibly be the reason why they are purposely calcifying our pineal gland?
Oh, that's funny.
Because as this electromagnetic shift is occurring, do they not want us to metaphysically grow?
Right. And you know, it's funny because so many people are very intuitively moving towards better nutrition and better health. It's like the awareness has gone up just exponentially in the last year about all of these hazards and all these things that have been, you know, welcomed into our Western diets are just being left and right shown to be absolutely damaging and nearly criminal.
It's crazy because there's this stuff called trisodium phosphate, which back when I was working in the cafes when I was a kid, we used trisodium phosphate, TSP, for cleaning the grease traps out of the hood of the stove, and they put it in cereal.
Wow!
It's in cereal. You can look at any cereal and look at it. And it says trisodium phosphate. Yeah, like I want to put that stuff in my body. You know, and it's incredible. As a matter of fact, they were just mentioning Jane in the chat room. The Facebook chat. YouTube, yes, thank you. I'm forgetting where I am. But anyhow, Jane was just telling us, you know, talking about the pineal gland and you know, how to decalcify it. And then you mentioned, you know, the calcifying of the pineal. You know, is that, like Brent said, is that on purpose? Are they trying to blind us? You know, is there a conspiracy there? So
I would absolutely say yes.
Yeah.
And if you look into the whole history of fluoride and how it was originally used in the gulags and excuse me, and
there
in
were
the
no such
concentration
thing.
camp.
There was no such thing as gulags. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Nese.
Well, I just keep, well, for lack of a better term, I just keep thinking of the old war movies where they talk about sending them to the gulag.
Yeah, no, they it's one of those things that never happened. There's no such thing. But I digress. I'm sorry.
Oh, well, okay. But anyway, fluoride has been proven to make you docile and to mess with your pineal gland.
Right.
And if you look at a lot of ancient civilizations, they all talked about the pineal gland.
Right.
If you sit in a lotus position, your body makes a natural pyramid. And at the head of the pyramid, like the capstone, you have your neck, and then you have your head floating above the pyramid, and in the center of your head, you have the all-seeing eye. Because in your pineal gland, you have rods and cones.
Right.
And those rods and cones are just like in your eyeballs, where it is utilized for dialing in on those frequencies that you look at. So if light stimulates your pineal gland, and if light can't get to it because it's being calcified, how is that affecting us on all aspects?
Right. Very good point.
Yeah.
The Anishinabe people talk about there will be a time when we will remember our ability of mental telepathy.
Wow. I don't know if that's good or bad. I'm just kidding.
Well, we'll find out really quickly.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's one of those things. It's like, well, I hope that we can choose which things to telepathy and which things not to.
Right, yeah, no doubt. You don't want to be in this head.
Now my boss will know exactly what I think.
No wonder he made me walk out yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. I mean, that's...
Well, I can't think of something that would bring us to a more truthful society than that.
That's really true, and that's a good point. If there was that transparency,
right,
would our societies instantly either it would instantly progress and elevate us, or it would just cause an instant lockdown and some kind of militarization, because at that point, the game, all the charades are over, and if everybody suddenly knew everything that was going on that level, I fear that this ultimate hammer would drop, and there would be just nasty power grabs, and everything would be out on the open. I mean, it's already happening anyway. Right. That there are those that believe that they are better suited to make choices for everyone, but they at least, at the very least, they try to give us a flowery speech to make it seem like a good idea.
Right.
But if there was that clarity and that transparency, it would probably just be the same thing, except they wouldn't care that we knew. It's like, too bad we're in charge, So I hope so. I hope we get to those evolution of ability and the evolution of consciousness, because things are so broken. There are so many damaged people because of a flawed system and a rigged system that makes it incredibly hard for us to progress as a global society.
Right. Yeah.
Well, to go back at the beginning of what you were saying, from the moment we are in the public schooling system, we are being tested. Mm-hmm. And if you look at what those tests all start at looking for, is our ability of pattern recognition. And the minute that we start scoring high, you better believe that the government is keeping an eye on these children that score high on pattern recognition.
Right.
Because not only does that show a higher not intelligence, but a higher intellect. The ability to computate things quickly, with intellect, because everybody's intelligent. Nobody's stupid.
Right.
It's just people have different knowledge, different levels or different intelligence of different things, but where some people are better blessed is they have quicker intellect, where they can computate, like I said, so when these individuals or these children or these indigo children, remember when they used to talk about there was 7 colors in a rainbow, and now they're saying there's only 6 colors in a rainbow?
Oh, right.
And you guys caught that lately?
No, I haven't. But
yeah, and what color did they take out? Indigo.
Indigo. Yeah, it doesn't
And
exist
you
anymore.
think of indigo children, these children that have been born that are way gifted, that just kind of get it right away.
Right.
And you better believe, which breaks my heart, and it just rips me apart, and it's a good thing I'm physically where I'm at, because when I learn of this heinous act of people harming innocent, like children, and with like the stuff that's going on with the borders, I believe that the sorcerers or the warlocks or the witches of evil, of demons, of Satans, whatever, semantics again, I believe they are intentionally recreating rituals of creating philosopher's stones or sorcerer stones.
Right.
Because in my research, what they need to make those are the souls of humans. And if everything is electromagnetic, and there is an entity within you that is puppeteering your physical shell, because they've measured this. They've measured that when you die, you lose weight, the microscopic weight. There's many arguments of why and stuff, but as I said before, a lot of these indigenous cultures around the world, they talk about the spirit, or they talk about the soul, or they talk about your essence, or your frequency. Again, semantics.
Right.
So if that is literally a tangible thing, then just like we can fine-tune a radio to get a radio station, just like on Who You Gonna Call, Ghostbusters, and they had their little capture unit. Who's to say that these hospitals aren't just big, huge capturing facilities?
Yeah, I don't know. There's certainly a lot of theories out there about that kind of stuff, and I'm certainly not qualified to weigh in on it too much. I hear what you're saying though, and I'm not discounting what you're saying, but it's, I don't know. These are absolutely frightening things to consider, but you may very well be right. I don't know. It's a scary prospect.
Well, exactly. That's the scary thing, because when you look into power, and when you think of power, and I've had some experiences where I've met individuals and try to help them find a path of ridding themselves of semantics, demons, entities, or things that latch onto us.
Right.
Where I try to help direct them and give them, what my thoughts are on it.
Absolutely.
And
hey, brother,
I have met people that have shared.
I just want to let you know we're about a minute out of break, just so you know. We'll be going into break in about a minute, just so you know. But go ahead, continue your thought.
Right. But I've met individuals that have shared with me horrific stories of being physically, mentally, spiritually, sexually tortured as children, and that creates some major portals opening, which causes some major damage on all levels of our entity.
I agree completely, and it's a horrible thing, and I don't know, my heart goes out to anybody that's in pain or is being caused pain intentionally by any other person. But ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go to our last break of the night, and then we will be back in just a couple minutes to close out the night with Mr. Nese here on the Paranormal Portal.
Wow.
But it goes so fast. It really always does. But don't go away, everybody. We'll be right back for the last half hour of the show.
And we all have the energy to battle that.
There you go.
Amen. All right. We'll be right back, guys. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the last half hour of the show. This is the Paranormal Portal, and I'm your host, Brent Thomas. And I'm joined by my co-host, Mr. Don Longbeard.
Why is everybody trying to braid my beard?
Oh. Change your name to Ragnar.
Ragnar
Longbeard. I think that's the
I
name
will.
of the. I think that's the
you're
name
right.
of the Minnesota Vikings mascot, actually. But there you go, ladies and gentlemen. If you have beauty tips for Don and his beard, please let him know in the chat room. But we are joined also tonight by our special guest, Mr. Nese, who is a longtime friend and contributor to the Paranormal Portal. He's been a guest several times on the show and calls in regularly and has a very unique and well thought out view on pretty much everything we cover. But thanks for being here again, brother. I'm really thrilled to have you.
Well, thank you so much, and I apologize. I forgot to mute, so if I was coughing or smacking things, sorry.
That's all right. I didn't hear you. But if
I don't know
anyone
what
else
that
did,
ripping sound was.
I heard a demon growl over break. Oh, I'm just kidding. Well, you heard me burp into the break yesterday, didn't you?
I'm so mad I missed that.
Well, yeah, I didn't. Ladies and gentlemen, on TFR, there's been a glitch that basically the mics are hot during the breaks. And so normally what I do is I mute out, but yesterday I was getting ready for the show, and I did a mic check, and mic worked fine, connected to the network, didn't think about it, but my mic was still hot, and I just took a long pull off my Coca-Cola. I leaned in, I was just sitting here in front of the mic, and all of a sudden, I just gave a 3-second burp, and it was just like, oh, and then I said, I hope that glitch isn't working, because then I just burped in front of the whole network. And all of a sudden, the TFR chat room's like, laugh out loud. Oh, somebody's got a hot mic. And I was like, oh, no. I don't do that even to people I'm close with. I just don't, and do that thing. I'm just not that guy. I thought I was all by myself here. But, yeah, so that was my brilliant, epic moment last night. But I'm glad you heard it, Nese. And ladies and gentlemen, Nese texted me and gave me the scorecard for my performance.
It's a 7.5.
No, I think it was a 5.6 is what I got. So
that is in the latest. I've been drinking kombucha.
Oh, nice.
And lately kombucha has got me burpy. And so my youngest daughter, me and her, we get a kick out of it. And my oldest daughter, well, not my oldest, but the oldest in home, she's the prim and proper one, and she's like, Dad. And I'll be like, judges score? My little one will rate my burps for me.
Huh. That's funny. Very cool. But
I am a child.
And that's cool. I certainly don't begrudge you that. It's just I'm not normally that guy. I grew up with a bunch of brothers, and I heard all kinds of body functions my whole life, and it's just like, I don't need to hear that. And so I've always tried to adhere to that in my own life, but I managed to do it anyway. So my apologies if you happen to have been listening last night. That wasn't the persona I wanted to represent for TFR all over the face of the world.
Ken says Brent needs an exorcist.
Yeah. Well, I think I exercised something yesterday, Ken.
Broke it loose.
Yeah, something came right out. That's for sure. But
did you say exorcist or exercise?
I need exercise too, but that's a whole different bag of worms. There's a reason I only let the camera show my neck up. So, ladies and gentlemen, tonight we're talking about demons, darkness, and the thinning of veils, and we've had quite a great discussion about this. Now, Nese, in the last half hour, what I'd like to focus on is protections and things people can do to keep themselves safeguarded as much as possible in the spiritual sense. What can they do? What are some best practices that you can bring to the table from your First Nations perspective?
Well, I mean, from the let's see, how do I say this? As I stated before, the only expertise I have is my own experiences and what I have learned through those experiences. And one of the things that we've been doing most of the time when we start or when we come back from the breaks is we laugh, we giggle, we chuckle, we chortle. That in itself stimulates the pineal gland, which gets it activated, which allows it to secrete what it does, that gives us that euphoria feeling. That feeling of, like when you get goosebumps, the euphoria when you laugh and you giggle, and even in intimacy when you have the big O, and even when you use cannabis, you get that pineal gland activated. And so what occurs on that physical structure, it releases those endorphins. It makes you feel better. When you feel better, would you not think it would be like when you turn the dimmer switch on in your room and the light gets brighter?
Right.
And when the light gets brighter, what does that signify? Logically, it's brighter. It's a higher consciousness. And so when we try to, and yes, I hear Yoda in my head. There is no try, do or do not. But as we attempt to utilize the tools that we learn through our experiences to bring us to that positive state, or that altered state of love, of joy, of bliss, of light, as we try to get through the darkness. Because a metaphor, you can think of a white piece of paper on the table, and then you put it on the table. The top of it is white, yet on the back side it's all dark. So it's both there. The dichotomy is there, the white and the dark, or the positive and negative, but we always forget about that gray area, the neutral area, the balance area, But as we continue to go towards the light, to be the light, and we raise that consciousness, then we build up our protection, we build up our power. And then there's other tools and rituals that my people utilize. We do smudging, we do clearing, and everybody, as I stated before, we're all the same perfection miracle. We're all the electromagnet entity we are. And just like an electromagnetic, we have the ability to repel and attract.
Sure.
So what do we want to tune into, and what do we want to attract, and what do we want to repel? So we have that power within us, but sometimes people have to utilize tools to recognize that power. It's almost like the Neo,
Sure.
Where you're going, you won't need to dodge bullets.
Right.
Because that power is there. But if you need to utilize tools to build that power, then so be it. One way to do it is to burn sage, or cedar, or sweetgrass. I sometimes like to burn bear root, oshka root.
Okay.
That's because I'm Bear Clan.
Okay.
But meditation, finding those things that bring you joy, that bring you light, that help you burn brighter, to illuminate brighter. Because if you're in darkness, metaphorically, in the semantics, wherever that darkness may be, depression, anxiety, too much sugar, too much, pasta, whatever that darkness may be, semantics again.
Right.
You have the ability within yourself, within love, without fear, to harness that power, because power can't be destroyed. It just can be transferred. So
good point.
Do you want to tune into that negativity, or you want to tune into the positivity?
Right. That's excellent, and I couldn't have said it better. That's brilliant. That is brilliant. Thank you for that, for those pieces of advice. And that's something that I wouldn't have said either. So I really appreciate that. That as you find things to make you laugh, that find things that make you feel good, because the key with a lot of oppression / possession, or whatever, any kind of a dark negative entity wants you to feel weak. It wants you to feel vulnerable. It wants you to feel alone. It wants to isolate you. So if you work hard on finding laughter, on finding camaraderie and warmth, and overriding that, those feelings of isolation. That is exactly right. It turns up your light. And if you are shining bright, you're not susceptible, at least as much. And it may not be the solution in and of itself, but it certainly will help. It will definitely help. I agree completely.
Well, and there are other entities out there that are willing, and they'll put it out there that they can help you assist, or, we do have this instant knowledge at our fingertips. Mm-hmm. And what I would always suggest is, always put your intent out there, because if you don't put your intention out there, then you're not manipulating the fields. Mm-hmm. And that's your power. That's your ability to manipulate the field. So you start with the intent. You start with the thought to bring it into fruition. And if you feel or think or believe that it could be negative entities, then you need to step up, recognize, give it the respect of its existence, and then be in your decision to tell it to move on. Mm-hmm. Whether you need to invoke the powers that you've been taught, or the powers that you recognize or realize inside of you when you remember that power. Because and yes, there is always a bigger fish in the sea, but it's always when you doubt yourself that you take away your own energy, your own power. And when you unite, when you unify, when you do it with other people, then you even gain more power and more strength. But the biggest thing is to be preventative. Be careful when you're opening up the portals.
Yeah.
Because the portal works both ways.
Right. Things
can come in as well as you going out.
Very good point. Yeah, excellent. I think those are great words of advice. Now, you mentioned smudging, you mentioned sweet glass, and one other time when you were on the show, you mentioned cedar boughs over the doors.
Right.
Are there any other things like that, and can you explain that?
Yeah, cedar is another one of those tools utilized for protection and cleansing and space clearing. And so one of the things I was taught is that we would take little bundles of cedar and we would put them above the portals that were able to go outside. And this is one of the things where I talk about recognizing the cycles, because right now we're at the new moon, the darkest time of the month. Mm-hmm. And I do believe that this next full moon we're about to have is actually going to be October's full moon and not September's full moon.
Okay.
But we are going into the equinox, which I do believe that it's going to be occurring this next week.
Wow.
But, yeah, I've been having some strange things as I watch the clocks around the world, and all of a sudden they're shifting and changing like 5-10 minutes a day.
Whoa.
And it's not making any sense.
Okay. Wow. And
when you would think in theory on Apple, you would think in her divine wisdom, she would get it right in the change of it each day, but it fluctuates where it's not making sense. And I should have, I kicked myself in the pants because I wanted to record it and make better record of it, but I got caught up in other things I was doing. But the shift is happening.
Right.
On a grander scale, look at the planets and the stars, and it's a wonderful time to be alive. I'm excited to be here.
It is, and ladies and gentlemen, what Nese is referring to is that the lunar cycles have actually changed, and nobody's talking about it. And this is something that Nese brought to the table back this last spring.
Oh yeah,
it was just like, hey, something's going on, something's weird. Used to be 28 days between moon cycles, and now it's, what is it now?
It's roughly 29.8 days.
Right. And so there was...
It was 30 days.
Okay.
Right after January, it was 30 days. But now it's gone a little bit shorter than 30 days.
Yeah, and this is something
but not by much.
He's been tracking this for, the entire calendar year, and how this differentiates from the classical system that we all knew, for our entire lives. It's now changed. Now, is that a Mandela? Is that a something to do universally with what's going on? It's hard to know, ladies and gentlemen, but this is something that nobody else has talked about, and something that he did bring to the table, and I think it's amazingly profound. I just don't know what it means.
Mm-hmm.
And I still cannot find who has the overall authority who says, this is where you put the full moons on the calendar and this is where you put the new moons. But they're there on calendars.
Right.
And since this year, 2018, it's been 30 days on the calendar.
Wow.
And if you got any calendars from 2017, you'll see they were all 28 days.
Right. So
it is pretty
changed.
Bizarre.
Yeah, that's a huge bizarre. That's an amazingly huge bizarre. And I don't know what it means. It certainly has me concerned, but I don't know if it's a foreboding of something very incredible and wonderful, or if it's a foreboding of, oh my God, things are going to hell.
Right.
I don't know what it means. So it's definitely got me incredibly curious, but incredibly concerned at the same time. I know there's nothing I can do about it, so it's not something that I of course, fill my days with thinking about. But it certainly, it's a symptom that nobody else has talked about, and it's something that you pinpointed, and I think it's incredibly important, at least to make note of it.
Oh, there's nothing more that makes you feel alive when you are able to face and recognize that this moment may be your last. And so why do we get so caught up in getting into that darkness when at one point we will have that darkness, that deep sleep? So why be there when we have the ability and we have the opportunity to be the light? And it ain't no easy task, but once you can find that attitude, the attitude to get through those times of darkness, then it certainly helps.
Right. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I don't know what's going on. Jesus, my YouTube died. Are we still live, Don?
What?
I don't know what's going on here.
Well, it looks good for now. I've got the
strange. Let me just do this.
Wow.
Oh, we are so alive.
I don't know what happened, but
we're so alive we just blew the whole world off.
Lady Death says we're still live. Right after I took a swig off my bottle. There it is, right there.
So apparently we're still out there, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just not sure what the hell's going on.
Wow, we're still alive. We're so lucky.
Yeah, I know we are. We're always lucky, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm way out there.
There we go. Now it's back up.
Yeah,
okay,
everybody
that was very
just
weird.
says, welcome to the portal.
Exactly. That's you guys are all absolutely correct.
Ken's offering to call an ambulance.
I'm not smoking out yet.
We just broke on through to the other side.
Well, maybe.
Yeah, it's just strange. Yeah, I hope that's true in a good way anyway. I've noticed a lot of changes going on, and I've noticed them, not so much of the lunar cycles. I would have never noticed that if you hadn't said that and if you hadn't brought that out. But, I am noticing a lot of changes going on, just with the amount of people that are resonating to truth, to waking up, to getting past the charades and the puppet shows that we've lived with for generations here in the especially in the United States, and I assume it's the world as well, but and what I'm hearing it's the world, but I'm seeing those kind of changes, and I don't know on a very fundamental level, I'm feeling like it's an incredibly important time to be alive, and it's something I've said many times on the portal. It's that this is an incredibly important time, and this will be a time that we will our grandchildren will talk about, that this was, they heard stories about this time. I don't know what that means. I just know it on a very intuitive level that this is an important time.
Well, and that there should be enough to light the fire to get us to recognize that importance of what we have left. And so when we find those individuals, and all individuals, and be fortunate of how blessed we are by the presence of everybody. Because I've said it before, we cannot have a universe without you and I.
This should be a T-shirt. That's so much should be a T-shirt. That's awesome.
maybe we should do a paranormal T-shirt that says that on the back, and then credit Nese at the bottom. Do it like a quote, Nese quote.
To all you naysayers out there, there is no universe without you and I. That'd be funny. That
actually works.
It might actually work, ladies and gentlemen. We could do a caricature of you, brother. But no.
Well, the sad fact of the matter is there's been more than one time in my life where I've been wrong. And I'm okay with that, because more times I would rather be wrong than right.
Yeah.
Because as I pay attention to these cycles of the psychos, I wonder if they're using the Bible as a playbook and say, hey, let's cause the chaos so they can cause the control.
Well,
so that scares me. But again, we come back to the light and the power we have.
Right. And there's certainly no doubt that that fear is an incredible motivator, but it's not always a good motivator. I mean, when it comes to preservation, of course, having a certain amount of fear or at least concern is a good thing. But I don't like the hysteria that's being created by so many people right now that are just pushing, they're pushing for all this division and doubt and suspicion and vitriol between peoples, between, any two groups. It's just, it's unfortunate, but I think I really believe in and I really am putting all my bets on on the heart of people, that deep down inside they know that everybody's just doing the best that they can, and we all want the same things regardless of which side of the spectrum you're on. It's just we got to push past all these narratives and get to the core of the issue, and it's all of us. It's you and me and everyone in between. It's we just got to work together. We got to take care of each other.
Well, and it's great to have the opportunity to be with you to share these messages, because here is your little niche in the whole world of sharing your thoughts and your experience in the world. And may it be beneficial to the audience and hopefully help them as they go through their experiences in their universe.
Right.
I hope so.
Because I love the universe.
Me too.
And we love the universe too.
We love the you and our universe too.
No, it's always great to have Nese on, yeah.
All right, brother. Before we're done, we got about 2 minutes left, but I definitely want you to say something in Anishinaabe.
Anything.
Let's see. Chimi Grich Kichimanadu, Nese Indigini Kaz Ojevwem, Minawa Nindo Gichida, Minawa Makwanan Dundem, Pegish Imadaziv Waywin, Chimi Grich Kichimanadu. Gigawapam.
I just love that.
That's
awesome. I'm not sure what you said, but it was really cool. I just think it's such a neat language. It just sounds so cool. What did you say?
I said I shouldn't eat so much bison jerky because now my belly's rumbling. No.
Nice.
Oh, I'm coming over.
Don will even bring the grill.
I'll tell you, let's do it, baby.
Oh, that's
I said my name and I said my clan and that I'm a defender as a veteran.
Yep.
And thank you, Creator, for allowing me to be here, and may we find our path that is best for us. And we will gigawabim is like a salutation.
Uh-huh.
It kind of means we shall meet again when we meet again, or we shall be together when we are together again.
Brother, I want to stand next to you on our way, too.
All right, you guys. Well, thank you all.
Right on.
We love you all very much. We love you, brother. Thanks for being here. Thank you all for listening, being a part of the family that is the Paranormal Portal. And be good, be kind, be nice to each other. Make sure if you're not already a subscriber to us on YouTube, go to youtube.com/Paranormal Portal and subscribe and check out the other archives. And stick around for Beyond the Veil coming up next. And then later on, Into the Microcosm with Jimmy Jean, Rio, and Brandy coming up on TFR iHeart. Tune in, TalkStream Live.
Night, everyone.
Love y'all. Be good, be kind, be nice. And we'll see you on Wednesday night for our YouTube-only live stream. Be good to each other.
Toodles. I can say toodles, right?
Absolutely.
Censorship and regulation is becoming an issue in today's modern media. From the mainstream